Hey folks, good morning and welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd. Happy Monday, happy Thanksgiving week. I know a lot of folks are out of sorts this week. Kids out of school, a lot of folks off work or preparing to be off work, getting ready for travel. There's just, it is a week where everybody is just kind of out of their normal routine. Or I say everybody, most folks are out of their normal routine. And then we'll throw in a fairly active pattern in terms of weather for the next 48 hours or so, 36 hours or so. And then we should trend cooler and quieter for Thanksgiving. And then we'll trend more active again. So there's a lot to talk about in the forecast, especially, the Thanksgiving travel forecast beyond that, and then also obviously what we're dealing with this afternoon and into tonight. Today's forecast made possible by ServPro with 3 locations across the area to serve you: Monroe, West Monroe, Shreveport, and Natchez. Call or click servpro.com today. And a look at the radar. All your radar products, every single one of them made possible by Brown's Roofing as you take a look at the rainfall. We've had some early rain and thunderstorms across portions of southern Arkansas this morning. And I know a lot of folks are going, hey, those are a little early. Those were always kind of a possibility, but we were never really concerned about severe weather potential. And I'll explain why in just a minute. So we zoom in and we'll kind of get things started as we take a look at the radar this morning. Hayden, we're going to get to all of that stuff in just a minute in terms of, and you may have to, if time is of a constraint to you, you may have to just come back and check it here in a little bit, but we're going to get to the timing and storm coverage and all that stuff in just a little bit. Again, across the area, already seeing showers across southern Arkansas, far northern Louisiana. Most of this is fairly light. And good morning to Janice and Sharon. We'll also have plenty of thunderstorms across the Ark-La-Tex region. And most of this, again, not severe, but it is still generating some heavy rainfall. And this is where some areas are already lined up under an aerial flood watch or flood watch for the rest of the day. That does not include a good chunk of our area, but it does include a lot of our neighbors to the west. So where we get that kind of first round of showers and thunderstorms, you add on to that a little bit later today. Obviously, that could lead to some localized flooding concerns. Again, that is more of a southwestern Arkansas, northeastern Texas, kind of Red River Valley issue to start the day today. As I zoom out just a little bit, you can kind of see where most of this activity continues to trudge eastward. And it's also worth noting that a lot of this early shower and thunderstorm activity will develop and continue to our west, but as it moves eastward, it becomes more scattered in nature, and we're not expecting the widespread showers and storms to be really what drives through our area today. This stuff will weaken, but the leftover smaller scale boundaries and features in the atmosphere, outflow boundaries and things of that nature will trudge eastward and help to kind of fuel additional thunderstorms a little bit later today. May and Sean, good morning to you folks as well. Thanks to everybody that's hopping in. Obviously, like I said, there's a lot of folks tuning into the forecast just because there's just so much going on as we go into Thanksgiving week. Here's a look at temperatures, 40s and 50s. And I know you're probably thinking, it's awfully cool for thunderstorms, and you're right. That's the big takeaway from the early part of the morning is it is much too cool and, in turn, much too dry to generate a lot of thunderstorm potential to start the day. Any rumbles of thunder that you encounter with some of these earlier showers, again, you can rest assured that those storms are elevated, meaning they're not rooted anywhere near the surface. They're way up in the air, and they're probably just going to bring some rumbles of thunder and some occasional downpours. Maybe some small hail, but again, not expected to be an overly big concern. Carolyn and Dendropyro on YouTube. Thanks so much. Good morning to everyone. Again, dew points also tell the story. You really need dew point temperatures at least 55 or higher, but generally in the 60s to support organized thunderstorms, especially severe weather. And these numbers, again, way too dry. So what we do have early on in the day, not expected to be that big of a concern. As we go deeper into the day, though, Futurecast shows dew points climbing rapidly, and that's on the back of some stronger southerly winds. Those strong low-level winds also helping to feed these disturbances that could fuel a few strong to severe storms as we go through the day. Lana and Millie, good morning to both of you as well. So as we go through the morning hours, it's kind of more of the same. Not a whole lot happening in terms of organized severe weather potential. But by early afternoon, those southerly winds really start to stream in the low-level moisture. That's along a warm front. We talk about warm fronts moving northward a lot of the time. This is probably best illustrating it. Southerly winds transporting a warm, humid air mass, very different than what we are dealing with currently to establish the severe storm potential later today. So by early afternoon, dew points are in the low to mid 60s in many locations. But by this evening, a lot of us could be in the upper end of the 60s to near 70. And then you can kind of see the wind direction shifting as we have this cold front and the thunderstorms move through the area. So you can kind of see what the storms start doing to the region as it moves through as we go through the day. We'll obviously get to storm placement and stuff like that in just a second. Clearly, those winds are out of the east and southeast right now, so we haven't started that moisture transport yet. So again, clearly, we've got some time before the organized severe weather threat sets in later today. Cannot stress that enough for folks that are heading off to work this morning. Rain and thunderstorms early in the day will not be severe. The severe threat is later in the day. Again, it's going to take those winds cranking up out of the south as we go through the day. In fact, here's what is illustrated on Futurecast. This is kind of the image that everybody generally wants to see. But all of this works together to set up the severe weather threat for today. So Futurecast made possible by Bayou Power Sports I-20 frontage road in Monroe shows that warm front lifting northward. That warm front establishes the warm, humid air that can sustain storms near the surface. Storms near the surface are more readily available to bring damaging wind gusts down to ground level. The tornadoes form near the surface. Hail's possible pretty much with any storm today. But obviously, larger hail, more of a possibility as you get just deeper amounts of moisture in all levels of the atmosphere. So as we go into the evening, that warm front lifts northward. Now, here's the other thing. That warm front has an area of maximized wind shear because clearly you got this boundary, which is establishing the southerly transport of warm, humid air. That's likely going to lead to an a change in wind direction. It's going to change wind speeds. So that creates shear in the atmosphere, a twisting of the wind, if you will. The change of wind speed or direction as you move higher in altitude. And shear is very important for creating spinning thunderstorms, which is, again, something that is a concern as we go into the evening and nighttime hours tonight. So Futurecast shows that front advancing through, but again, most of our storms should be scattered in nature. Not everyone's going to see severe weather today. This does open us up for an opportunity for maybe some supercell-like thunderstorms, maybe even for supercells to be kind of the more dominant mode in terms of storms. Mode meaning the overall makeup. Mode of storms, sometimes they're clusters of storms, sometimes they're supercells, sometimes it's a line of storms, sometimes it's a broken line of storms, sometimes it's a combination of all of those, which is a possibility today. I would think supercellular-like thunderstorms would be the concern early, and then clusters or kind of a broken line of storms as the front advances through, also a possibility late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Boundary does make some slow progress through the area. In general, it's a quick mover. But in terms of our area, we're still going to be dealing with some storm potential during the early morning hours on Tuesday, at least across the Mississippi Valley. We'll get to the storm timing in just a minute. But again, just overall, it sets us up for kind of a late evening, nighttime, early morning event for storm watching. Not everyone's going to see severe weather out of this one. But everyone's going to have to stay weather aware. And for folks along the Mississippi Valley, make sure you download the Digital Weather Desk app. If it's available for Apple and Android users, and make sure that you also have us set up so that those alerts are programmed in and you can receive them. They'll wake you up tonight if need be. Going beyond the severe weather threat, high pressure sets in perfectly for Thanksgiving morning. If there's anything you want for Thanksgiving Day, it's that big blue H sitting right over the top of you. That means quiet conditions, dry conditions, and that also expands out across much of the southern United States. So if you're traveling Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the immediate area, well, Wednesday, Thursday specifically, and really Friday too, we've got a lot of positive news in terms of the Thanksgiving conditions, and we'll get to that in a minute. There's a lot to cover. Usually these things only take 10 or 15 minutes, and unfortunately today's is going to take a lot longer than that because there's a lot to talk about. High pressure will move east as we go into the end part of the weekend, and that could also point us toward more rain chances early next week. Janet, Debbie, Dorothy, Mary, Margaret, Bill, Ann, Kelly, Betty. Thank you all so much for joining in this morning. Here's a look at the severe weather threat from the Storm Prediction Center. The convective outlook is what we call it, but you all know it as just the severe storm threats for today. Slight risk level 2 for pretty much the entire area except for portions of southern Arkansas where that warm front may not make it into your area in a timely enough fashion to really support a widespread severe weather threat. I still think an isolated strong to severe storm is possible for you folks. But again, there's not as much certainty in terms of the warm front placement and storm timing later on this evening across southern Arkansas. This is the exact same image, just zoomed in a little bit. And again, main concerns are kind of everything. Damaging wind gusts will be a possibility, large hail possibility, isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out, and periods of heavy rain can't be ruled out as well. We'll get to the rain, all that stuff in just a minute too. So here's a look at storm timing, and I know you're thinking, Jared, how can you say storms won't arrive until later today when they're already happening? Well, I'm talking about severe storm potential. Obviously, early showers and storms were always going to be a possibility, but in terms of the severe weather threat, this has not been, I haven't touched this graphic since yesterday. I still kind of generally like the way it looks across the area. 3 to 9 p.m. for the western and northwestern counties and parishes. Again, 3 p.m. probably a little too early. So I would think kind of shoot the difference right in the middle. In my thought process, 6 p.m. was kind of the ideal time frame for that area. So obviously give yourself a little bit of a buffer. In the central sections of the viewing area and the coverage area, 9 p.m. was kind of my general thought process. So you give yourself about a 3-hour buffer. I'm thinking right around midnight along the Mississippi Valley, if not later. So you start at 9 p.m. and you give yourself a little buffer. That's how I build these. Again, there's not a lot of cute scientific. It's just I'm building the forecast and I think about it and I try to give myself a little, cover your backside on either end of the time frame. That's how those are built. Nothing cute about them. And again, that's where I think the earliest possible severe weather arrival times can be expected. Onithia, Kathleen, Bobby and Cheryl, Bobby Joe, and Barbara, thanks so much for joining in on the party this morning. Yes, the fear factor is in full swing on Facebook and on social media in terms of weather. And wait until we get beyond this because next week looks pretty wacky. And I'll get to that in a minute and try to qualm some fears as well. Flash flood risk for today. Again, excessive rain cannot be ruled out. Obviously, thunderstorm-driven rains are the biggest concerns. What can we expect rain total-wise? Again, these are scattered rain chances yield scattered rain totals. And while I do expect a good chunk of the area to see rain today, the thunderstorm-driven rains will bring the highest totals. So obviously, I think there's a good chance for a lot of the area to see 1/4 to 1/2 inch rain totals. And then obviously the thunderstorms will really dictate who sees the higher, more extreme inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch totals as we go through the daytime hours today. All right, so that concludes the severe weather portion of this live stream. So let's move on from that, and now let's move into Thanksgiving Day, and we'll get to the 7-day in a minute, and it'll show all that stuff too. But we look beyond that and go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the Thanksgiving temperatures. We look for the coolest air to start punching in late Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, a lot of us will wake up in the low end of the 50s. Wednesday afternoon, if I'm cutting out on YouTube, it's probably an individual, it's probably just YouTube because, again, I think most folks are picking me up okay on Facebook, or at least I hope they are. I'm going to check my audio. And so that's going to bring everything kind of to a grinding halt for a second. But if I'm cutting out on YouTube, yeah, see, I just heard myself. It sounds like that's a YouTube issue. Sorry, I'm obviously I can't correct it on the fly, but yeah, sometimes the individual platforms just kind of go wonky. Hopefully, it clears up when we reformat after the stream's over. Okay, back to things. Wednesday afternoon. This is about as warm as we're going to get Wednesday. Near 60, low 60s. Thanksgiving morning, we fall into the upper 30s, mid-30s for some. Patchy frost can't be ruled out. If you are a turkey fryer, turkey smoker, whatever, and you cook your turkey outside, again, keep in mind that cold temperatures like this to start the day can alter the performance of your cooking mechanism. It can also alter the time of how long it will take your turkey to cook. Do with that information what you will. Thursday afternoon, Thanksgiving Day, again, we'll probably climb back into the mid to upper 50s. That's about as warm as we can expect to be. If you are a big shopper on Friday morning, is that even a thing anymore? We'll be in the low to mid 30s to start. Could see the freezing mark in some areas for Black Friday morning. Most of us will probably be in the mid 30s. Again, frost will be a possibility. I think we'll probably climb back into the low 60s Friday afternoon, but it depends on cloud cover, and it's way too early to get into the semantics of all that. So, and again, for high school football games on Friday, be prepared. It will be cool, especially as we go toward kickoff on Friday night, where a lot of spots will probably be in the 40s. Beyond Thanksgiving, as we go into this weekend and next week, we will probably continue to trend at or slightly above normal for this time of year. You see the blue pooling up to the northwest. If you've been following on social media, if you follow a lot of weather folks on social media, a lot of folks have been very aggressive in explaining the sudden stratospheric warming and how that impacts the polar vortex, and they've been telling you about this bone-chilling cold, and could be record cold, it could be this, and it could be that, it could be a lot of things. All we know right now is it's probably going to trend colder early to middle parts of the month of December. This is the early trends of that showing on the temperature outlook. This is, again, the 8 to 14-day outlook. We're still a week to 2 weeks away from any kind of big shot of colder air moving into the region. Do we know how cold it's going to be? No. Do we know how long it's going to hang around? No. Do we know anything about it other than it's colder than what it's going to be right now? No. We don't know anything. And anybody that tries to tell you that they know the depth and the strength of this cold air mass, they're just trying to get your clicks. Rainfall outlook, though. This is what I wanted to show you. 6 to 10-day outlook. So this is, again, end of the weekend going into next week. High confidence of running into some rainfall. 8 to 14 days, kind of the same story. And the Weather Prediction Center 7-day rainfall forecast goes, yikes. Now, again, grain of salt. These forecasts are over a 7-day time frame. And a lot of this rainfall is also included in today's forecast. So if you take the inch to 2 inches of rain that's forecast across the region today by the Weather Prediction Center, then a lot of these rain totals fall more into like the 3 to 4 inch range. But a lot of rain is expected end of this weekend and into next week. And that could start as early as Saturday. And so the shopping weekend could get messy. It could. Keyword is could. We're looking at trends, not specifics. But it could be rainy. It could. Keywords could. Daytime highs today back in the upper end of the 70s to near 80 degrees. But the temperatures truly depend on location today. Some spots will only see the upper 60s to near 70. Again, that warm front's moving northward. So we're in the 40s and 50s right now. Hard to imagine a lot of areas getting into the upper 70s today, but it's that warm front doing the job later today. Winds will be out of the south. Some spots, like I said, only upper 60s to low 70s. Lows tonight generally hang up in the low to mid 60s. Showers and storms become likely. Again, note the rain chances, and those rain chances vary wildly depending on your area, and they do vary depending on what forecast you look at on the Digital Weather Desk app. Again, rain chances are highest in the northwest this afternoon, and then they increase overnight across the rest of the area. Winds will be out of the south tonight. Look at the 7-day forecast made possible by 3B Hardware. Again, there's a lot of moving and shaking. We deal with the shower and storm potential tonight, tomorrow. And then we're cooler for Wednesday, Thursday, some sunshine, some pleasant conditions for travel days around Thanksgiving. Obviously, Wednesday's a very hectic travel day in the deep south. It looks like it'll be a very nice travel day, so the weather shouldn't be a problem. Thursday and Friday also generally look fine, so Thanksgiving Day and Black Friday. The small business Saturday shopping forecast looks like it starts to work the rain back in. Sunday looks rainy. Monday looks rainy. Tuesday could look rainy. Again, that's just kind of looking at the longer term stuff and how things set up as we go into next week. So that pattern change to kind of bring us out of this drought appears to be headed our way. We can't say that with a lot of certainty, especially considering how bad the computer model forecasts have been. But just the overall trends are pointing favorably toward ending the drought soon. No, it's not 78 degrees. The forecast high for today is 78 degrees. We are in the 40s and 50s right now. Marisol, if you joined a little bit late, you can catch in later. The winds are going to be cranking out of the south today, and so we will warm up rapidly. And again, so I probably should have even. Let me try to do this real quick. I won't even do it. Winds are out of the south. As we go through the day, and let me give you a for instance real quick, and I'm not going to pull up the graphic. I'm just going to kind of look up the quick surface data. I'm going to look up the quick surface data for our area. Yeah, see, we're in the where it's 50 in Ruston, 53 in Monroe, 51 in El Dorado, but it's low to mid 60s along the coastline, and offshore we're in the 70s and 80s. So as the winds crank up out of the south today, we're going to carry all that warm, humid air inland. Daytime heating does its thing, and that's how we get thunderstorms. That's why the severe weather threat exists for today. Again, your Too Long Didn't Read set to come out in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. I will join you midday for a live stream. Again, full disclosure, it's Thanksgiving week, so everybody's kind of thrown out of their normal routine. I know kids are out of school, you know, a lot of folks are just out of their routine, our household included. But that does not mean that you are going to go without weather coverage today by any stretch. So we'll have your midday stream. I'll keep you updated with anything crazy that happens between now and then, and we'll just kind of follow what happens today, and we'll carry you through it, and we'll make sure that I'll make sure you keep you updated with the latest information. Like I said, the latest forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app. If you need watches, warnings, you're going to get those. I think it's the fastest. I get my alerts from the app faster than I get them from a lot of my more official weather person avenues. So I definitely suggest that you download that today if you haven't already. Again, I'll join you midday, and we'll keep you updated with the latest. Thanks so much for stopping by the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. Enjoy your Monday, everybody.